Showtime! The Capital G show starts right now. What's up YouTube, Capital G here. You know, Yu-Gi-Oh is a game that not only embraces but thoroughly promotes clean and fair play, not just in real life but through the excellent sportsmanship shown by many of the heroes in the anime and manga. The animated series almost always makes it a point to promote the concept of cheaters never prospering, that is, unless it's the heroes themselves who are the ones screwing the rules. Yep, despite the clear mixed signals it sends, it happens quite a bit, and I've decided to make a list of the best and most entertaining examples. Now, just for reference, I obviously have to acknowledge that many of the anime card effects can be quite different than the real life counterparts, and I've primarily tried to focus on cheats so obvious they don't leave much room to interpretation. I've also added a special bonus for those cheats that are truly legendary, and I've decided to include a ridiculous scale rating just to keep things light-mannered and fun. Lastly, I will be talking about the anime and manga here, so I'd like to issue a spoiler alert for those who have not seen no series. Without further ado, welcome to the top 10 times a Yu-Gi-Oh protagonist blatantly cheated or screwed the rules, the Yu-Gi-Oh hierarchy.
この番組はコナミの提供でお送りします。
Number 10, Yusei switches the positions of his set spells and traps while dueling in prison. Ridiculous rating, 4 out of 10.
お前が監視カメラで俺の手札を盗み見していたのは知っていた。だから俺はあの停電の時、切り札を監視カメラから見えないように持ち替えたのさ。
Let's start things off with really the only blemish on the very squeaky clean duelist that is Yusei Fudo, and I use squeaky clean only in the context of him being a duelist because technically he's a hardened criminal. While dueling against the head of security in prison, Yusei was cornered and up against someone who was cheating him by using surveillance cameras to see all of his set spells and traps. Yusei wisely made the most out of a convenient power outage and used this distraction to change the position of all his cards and gain a decisive and major advantage in the duel. Now, truth be told, I rank this one so low because this is the most understandable cheat on the entire list, even though cheating to beat a cheat is still cheating. Number 9, Yami uses Light Force Sword from his hand against the Yugioh Rare Hunter. Ridiculous rating, 6 out of 10. This one has been debated somewhat, mainly whether or not Light Force Sword was originally printed as a spell in the manga. What's not up for debate is the fact that Yami clearly activates a trap from his hand during the turn he drew the card, and that's completely illegal.
この魔法カードはお前の手札の1枚を3ターンの間ゲームから取り除く。
Unless, of course, you have some sort of other effect that allows you to do such. This was pretty crucial in the duel because it stopped Yami from losing to Yugioh by removing one of the pieces from play. Number 8, Kaiba hacks Ghost Kaiba's monsters during the duel versus Yugi in the Duelist Kingdom. Ridiculous rating, 7 out of 10. If you've seen the Duelist Kingdom arc in the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters, it really is filled with some of the silliest and most absurd nonsense you will ever see relating to this game, in a duel where, quite frankly, Yami didn't stand a ghost of a chance.
It's me, Kaiba, and this time you don't stand a ghost of a chance. Yes, but we've got to work fast. Yugi will lose on the next attack from the Blue Eyes White Dragon, unless we decrease its power from here.
Can we do that?
Oh yeah. Upload a virus into that monster's hollow computer. That dragon is about to get sick. Real sick.
Kaiba hacks into the Duelist Kingdom's computer system, which has access to all the duels taking place on the duel stations. To be honest, it's actually quite believable that something like this could work. What's not believable is Kaiba infecting Ghost Kaiba's Blue Eyes White Dragon with a virus that gradually reduces its attack points. If Kaiba had that much influence over the duel, why not just eliminate all risk and drop Ghost Kaiba's life points to 0 or something? It was pretty obvious that the duel was no longer being played fairly, and considering Yami just kind of rolled with Kaiba's cheating, he clearly didn't care how he won. Number 7, Yugi attacks the moon to get rid of the tide, thus drying up the sea in a duel versus Mako Tsunami. Ridiculous rating, 8 out of 10. So this is one of the examples almost too stupid to believe.
But his target isn't your sea monsters. I'm having him attack a card I put on the field myself. The moon! No! Now, Stone Soldier, destroy the moon!
I remember watching this episode as a teenager and then picking up the cards and thinking, what do you mean that I can't attack my own field spells? Yeah, along with numerous unbelievable things that didn't make sense in this duel, Yami actually attacks his own field spell, the moon, causing its destruction that actually leads to an adverse effects for Mako Tsunami, mainly the fact that his monsters no longer have a sea to swim in, thus are susceptible to destruction. Yeah, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, so much so that Konami themselves have even made a card out of this play that has basically been turned into a meme. Number 6, Yuma uses his feelings to change rank up Barian's Force into rank up NumberOne Force. Ridiculous rating, 8 out of 10. So this takes one of Yu-Gi-Oh's most common and well-known tropes to an entirely new level. In the anime, a lead protagonist getting the exact card that they need to turn the tide of the duel at the right time happens frequently, maybe too much so. But Yuma completely circumvents this by literally changing the card in his hand to the exact card that he actually needs. This is preposterous. I mean, needless to say, Vector's reaction to this complete baloney was spot on. Number 5, My Valentine uses scented marked cards versus Joey. Ridiculous rating, 9 out of 10.
I never noticed that smell when my eyes were open. I'm smelling a bunch of different perfumes coming from her cards.
My Valentine, easily the least subtle character on the entire Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters series. I mean, just look at her name and her clothing. She's also coincidentally one of the worst duelists on the series, racking up losses to Yami, Joey, Panic, and even Taya, for God's sakes. This might be because of her terrible and highly illegal strategies like spraying different scented perfumes on all of her cards. Come on, Mai, if your opponent can figure out you're cheating 4 turns into a duel, it's time to get a new racket.
No way! How could an amateur punk like you see through my aroma strategy? It's just impossible!
Number 4, Yami uses Catapult Turtle to launch Gaia and destroy Panic's floating castle. Ridiculous rating, 10 out of 10.
Who said anything about attacking your monsters? What I'm attacking is the castle.
Look, I get it. There were more or less only like 4 actual rules in the Duelist Kingdom tournament, but this is still so off the charts on the absurd level. To make it quick, Yami basically fires Gaia Dragon at Panic's floating castle. For some odd reason, the castle isn't actually destroyed, but its flotation device is, cause reasons, I guess. This causes the castle to stop floating, fall to the ground, and of course crush all of Panic's monsters, killing them instantly, which results in him obviously losing. Easily my favorite part of this entire ordeal is when Panic says this.
Run, monsters! Get out of the way!
It's no good. The Chaos Shield is keeping them from running anywhere. You've trapped them all inside.
And this is the dope that they had My Valentine lose to. Okay. Number 3, Jaden uses super polymerization to fuse his soul with Yubel's. Ridiculous rating, 10 out of 10. This is commonly referred to as one of the silliest things to ever come out of the entire GX anime. In a duel versus Yubel with the fate of the universe at stake, young Jaden takes super polymerization's ability to let you fuse with basically anything to the literal sense and opts to fuse not only himself but his opponent too, and without even getting Yubel's consent. Wow, rude much? Not only is fusing the 2 active duelists together totally not a thing and utter nonsense, but this is generally accepted to be Duelist Kingdom levels of stupid. Number 2, Kaiba threatens to kill himself if Yugi wins their duel during the Duelist Kingdom tournament. Ridiculous rating, 11 out of 10. For anyone who doesn't believe children's card games are serious business, I present to you Exhibit A.
Kaiba! 俺に後はない。次のターン、貴様の攻撃で俺は真のライフを失うというわけだ。
Seto freaking Kaiba, except no substitute, so passionate of a player that by his own words, he'd gladly die for a duel. And his long-awaited rematch versus Yugimoto, before Yami can strike the final blow, Kaiba basically gets on the edge of a building, a very, very steep building I might add, and basically says he's going to jump if Yugi beats him. Now that's some dedication to your craft, and I definitely respect that. Just in case there was any doubt because of the dub version about Kaiba implying that he might fall, I present to you Exhibit B.
Yugi! 貴様のカードで俺の首をかき切れ!
And finally, to our number one, Yuya Sakaki creates then uses the Pendulum Summon in the very first duel on Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc V. Ridiculous rating, 11 out of 10. Yu-Gi-Oh! Lead protagonists have always had wild and amazing abilities and powers, but what Yuya does on the very first episode of Arc V clearly has to take the cake.
これでレベル2から7のモンスターが同時に召喚可能!
何が起きている?
揺れろ魂のペンデュラム! 天空に描け光のアーク! ペンデュラム召喚!
As unbelievable as it is, he invents an entirely new summoning mechanic with specially made cards that only he has access to. And in case you were wondering, because maybe you're a little bit skeptical, yes, the Arc V universe officially recognizes Yuya Sakaki as the pioneer of the Pendulum Summon, and even government organizations at the time were like, what the hell is this? They didn't even know what was going on. I love the fact that since Yuya created the Pendulum Summon pretty much out of thin air, he was the only person in the entire Miami City who even knew how the mechanic worked, so he basically won pretty much all his duels because his opponent had no idea what the heck was going on. Konami, please, having this guy cheats in the first episode we see him in? Who is he, my Valentine or something? Anyways, let me know what you guys thought of the list. What was your favorite time that someone who was supposed to be good said, screw it, winning is way more important than playing fairly, and just decided to cheat for victory? Leave that in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching as always, and subscribe if you have not already.
It looks like the rules just got screwed.